where the treats at.
Is this the passing of the torch, right? Is this what this signifies?
It comes down to that front office and what they feel is most important.
The champ is here. We touched down from a higher plane. Why you landed here?
We always look forward to that week because it was always intense.
You know that we ain't coming back. We about to.
The man, the myth, the legend, Dante Hall. My favorite player growing up was Dante Hall. I love you guys and the show, but Dante was my guy.
Get to dashing because you done on the warfare.
This episode of Chief Concerns is brought to you by betonline.ag. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports, contests, and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information from live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BLEAV50, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Chief Concerns, Postgame Joe. Marcus Dash here with our guy Lance. Lance, we got a dub in the books. And our guy Jason Dunn will be joining us shortly. You guys know how JD is. Let's drop in a little later. But Lance, how you doing, buddy? Big dub. Yeah, I love that shirt, by the way.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It was a tough find to get this guy, but I'll tell you, just like a Chiefs victory, man, it seems to be such an easy thing to wear. You know what I mean? It's an easy thing when it's a Chiefs W. I'm not one of those superstitious guys, but every once in a while when I wear something and the Chiefs lose, I always think back in my head, I'm like, do I go with it? Even though I know I look decent in it, do I still go with it or not? I went with it today because the last time I wore this, Chiefs took an L. But you know what? They made me look smart today, bro, by rocking this bad boy, and they got themselves a W, like you said, man. So things are feeling good. You might be wondering why I'm in a car. It's because I'm riding high, baby. I'm riding high with the Chiefs dub, bro. You know, I got to get in the car and, celebrate this victory with my guys at the Chief Concern podcast. It's really because I have a bunch of family over, and I don't want them to be loud as hell while we're recording this.
Exactly. Okay, that makes sense. Well, I was going to ask you, you're driving, so it's not safe to be doing a podcast while you're on the road. Yeah, so a lot of stuff to get into with this game. Defense, first half, even the second half, I know we had a lot of turnovers. So, people try to say defense didn't look good. Defense played pretty well. We had a lot of turnovers in that game to kind of give them the ball back. They had an extra possession with the onside kick, the pick from Mahomes, Pacheco's fumble. Am I missing any other turnovers? That's it, right?
I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it.
So we left the defense on the field quite often today, and they looked great. It was a lot of carryover from that Tennessee Titans game, second half wise. They carried that over. Saunders looked great. Chris looked amazing. Dunlap, Karlaftis, Chenal. Everybody got in on the action today in this one. Big thing, we're going to go for the first half. I think a big thing for me, a big takeaway from the game, right with that, CH, done. I mean, yes. That's what it looks like. Barely got any playing time. He had the 2 reps in a row where bad balls, but he probably should have caught one of them. Dropped those 2 balls, and I think he was in on the red zone when Kelce caught the touchdown. He was in the backfield for that play. But that was pretty much it from CEH. And for being a big CEH guy, I was kind of upset to not really see him get much involvement today. But that's where it's trending. I was critical of Pacheco. That fumble came out, and after that fumble, he looked amazing. It was honestly he kind of let that one go, and he kind of just came out there and did his thing after that. McKinnon looked great in his role. Okay, our guy JD's joining us right now, actually. So, JD, what's up, buddy?
What's happening? What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
You
looking, Mark? Hey, he's sounding good, looking good. JD's winning today, just like the Chiefs, baby.
That's true.
Yeah. I like it.
JD, we're talking about the takeaways from the game. And I was saying that the big takeaway for me is defense looked good. It was a carryover from the Tennessee Titans game second half. But the biggest takeaway was CH.
Is it my mic? Is it yours?
Can you not hear us?
Sounds a little muffled.
It was my muffled?
Yeah.
Yes. Let's check the old settings here, boys. Aha. Okay, yeah, that was my mic.
How about now? Is it better?
Hey,
Hey, Marcus, how you doing,
party,
brother?
pal.
How's it going? Yeah.
I'm sorry to all our viewers. Okay, so again, but I say you look great. By the way, I second what Lance said. You look great,
Thank
JD,
you,
as always, of course.
Appreciate it.
But I said my biggest takeaway was the defense looked really good for this game. There was a carryover of the second half against Tennessee, but my biggest takeaway was CEH kind of done in this offense. I mean, he had the two drops. They were kind of bad balls, but he dropped those two balls, and that was pretty much it for the rest of the game from him. It was literally it was Pacheco and McKinnon's backfield from that point on. I mean, what's it say? Was this going to be a game script, or is it just kind of safe to say that CH is kind of ridden off out of this offense now?
I mean, I don't want to go that far, because a guy like that, man, you still need him. I mean, we know he's an effective back. He's an effective player. No question about it. Today was just Pacheco's day. It was McKinnon. Sometimes these things happen. If guys having a bad game, then that's why you have 3-back rotation for the guys to come in. You never write a guy like that off. You can't. You just can't do it. And so, like I said, I didn't get to see the first drop. People were kind of talking about it, but my thing is, maybe down the road you're gonna have to lean upon it. But it was effective as far as running the football. This is a game more suited, more geared for Pacheco's type of style. I mean, it was just running down the hill, getting tough yards, and that's what you really needed against this defense. And so, obviously CEH will probably help out in a couple other, different ways, different games. But like today just wasn't his day. That's all it was.
Yeah, I think at this point of the season, it isn't reactionary to point things out like that. I think what it is the Chiefs are showing us, and Andy Reid's been known for this, that they go with the hot hand, and if it makes more sense in a particular matchup, that's what they're going to go with. And I thought it was a great coaching idea that Andy Reid went with when Pacheco put the ball on the ground. Because most coaches, when that happens, especially young guys, they sit them down, they let them think on that, let them stew on that, and then they figure out what to do with them from there on out. Especially have veteran running backs like McKinnon and Clyde to rely on in a pinch. But they went right back to Isaiah. In fact, the next offensive play, the Chiefs ran the ball with Isaiah Pacheco. And you saw the confidence build from that for Pacheco. So I think this game was more about Pacheco and what the Chiefs see in him against a team like JD was just talking about, a team that you're going to have to earn those yards, and having a big, grueling running back like Isaiah Pacheco, who runs a lot like Marion Barber back in the day that I've always said he reminds me of. Just an angry runner. That's the kind of guy you want to have against this Jaguars defense to wear them down a little bit. And because of that fact, because he was effective in the run game, averaging over 5.1 yards per carry in this game, you saw the balanced attack really keep the Jaguars defense on their heels, so much so that they had to start taking cheap-ass shots like they did throughout the game. So I really like what I saw from the Chiefs' balanced attack. I think Isaiah Pacheco is everything they needed out of the run game. I don't think Clyde is getting exited or exiled from this offense. I just think this particular matchup, he wasn't a relevant piece, because in other games this year, we saw Clyde have games like this, and Pacheco did literally nothing. I think the Chiefs are just simply going by what they see in each and every matchup, and today, man, they hit an absolute home run out of it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they were doing. I mean, and the thing is, how it's usually done. You don't really say a guy's done or he's exited out of offense. I mean, you see it every time, every week. I mean, it's happening. Another guy comes in, all of a sudden he's got the hot hand. He's the guy that's doing a lot of the the pressures and stuff like that, a lot of the yards. So I don't think it's anything different, especially look, we know this is the thing about this offense. We said this, it's all about getting the ball. If there's going to be a playmaker out there, then let him play, right? And we've seen that with Kadarius Toney today coming in. JuJu got hurt. Hopefully he's going to be doing well. I know he's on the concussion protocol. But Kadarius Toney, when he came in, you seen the type of energy that he gives. I mean, the guy was electric today. I mean, just seeing that, it just gives you so much of a hope, and just seeing these guys all got it. They do. And so, Marquez Valdez-Scantling catching that one-handed catch. And we got some skillful guys, man, at receiver, at tight end, at running back. And so that's the thing about our offense, is not going to look like your traditional offense, the I formation, not even the spread. It's something all in itself, right? just because of the pieces that we have around them. And then you have 15 getting the ball to them. And so that's the beauty of it, is because you have such a premier passing quarterback, could run the football, but you got great wide receivers and tight ends out there that can catch anything that you throw to them too.
Yep. So we talk about that. Another takeaway from this game, as Lance kind of alluded to, was the kind of the dirty hits on our guys, the defensive receiver hits, flags that got picked up against JuJu, and then I think a play or two later, MVS got nailed. Same guy, Cisco, that safety, hard hitting guy, very very old school, back in the day. I love a guy like that on my squad. What were your takeaways from that, JD? You played in the league. You played in two different eras, really. You played in that the gritty early 90s, where this kind of stuff was, every week you saw stuff like this. And then kind of where the game started to transition a little bit in the 2000s. Kind of being more safe with the game. What did you make of the two hits on Cisco?
Look, man, I loved them. I love seeing football like that. That's what football is all about, to be honest with you. And I think the one on, JuJu could have went either way. I think when he caught the football, and I think is what the rest was thinking about, is when he caught it and the defenders coming up and Cisco's coming at the same time, it was like they just hit helmets. It wasn't like he was trying to go at this, hitting him in his helmet at the moment, but it was like, hey, is it a defenseless player? Yes. But should we just go ahead and make this call because it looks bad? I don't know. But I just you could would have definitely thrown a flag out at it. I wouldn't have been mad at it, no doubt. I mean, I think it could have went either way. But I think what the rest was seeing, because I was looking at it and I just kind of watched the shot. I'm just like, it's not like he was going down. It didn't look like he was targeting for his helmet. That's what it didn't look like. It was purposeful. You know what I mean? Like the intent was to go hit him, up top or in the helmet. At least that's what it looked like to me. But Cisco brought that old school back, man, hitting. I like I said that text. I said, these jokers are laying the wood today. I mean, there was a lot of hitting out there on that football field, man. You could just hear the pass popping. Just absolutely just exploded. And so I love that. And guys didn't mind it. Guys was popping right back up and what was happening too. So, I don't like it going into like the whole, being a little foo-foo league or, being a little bit too soft. I mean, you can still get it out. You still hit. Guys, they like that. Shoot, I was seeing that on Friday night in my son's game. And so they could play like that in the NFL, no doubt about it. So,
being a guy that grew up in the 90s and early 2000s, obviously watching JD play for my favorite team in the world, that is the style of football that I miss as well. I definitely do. And I expected JD, being a big physical guy like himself, who's literally a boulder with shoulder pads on out there. He loves that style of football. It's smash mouth. It's fun. It's gritty. It's what makes the game great. I agree. But here's the problem, JD. The league has done this to themselves. They've put themselves in this position now where we have to criticize these types of hits because they talk about how they want to protect people's brains and they don't want players getting CT because really they're just trying to cover their ass because they don't want to get sued by guys like Jim McMahon and guys of the past like that who weren't protected like guys are today. So this is on the NFL. I'm not even necessarily mad at Cisco. I do personally, maybe I'm wrong because I don't see it from the same perspective you do, JD, as a former player. But I thought it was a dirty hit just because of the fact that it was defenseless. You saw that JuJu was not over. JuJu did not correct his eyes to where the defender was. The defender hit him with his helmet. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was incidental contact, but it looked from the slowing down motion of it all. It looked like Cisco knew what he was doing in that play, and the result is what makes it look even worse. If JuJu would have bounced up, most of us aren't really reacting the way we did. But when he's doing the fencing posture where his hands are stiff and he's out here motioning like Tua did a few weeks ago against the Bengals, it pisses everybody off, especially when the ref threw the flag and then picked it up. Yeah. Like, you can't explain that to me and make sense of it. It doesn't make any sense. If you're going to throw the flag for a penalty that clearly indicates defenseless hitting and helmet-to-helmet contact, which is the letter of the law of what you guys are proclaiming to do to protect players, and then you pick it up, there's no way in the world I can sit here and say, I agree with that. There's nothing I can say that makes sense of it. I miss that style of football. Trust me, JD, I do. But if the NFL is telling me, telling you, and telling Marcus this is the way we're going, this is the direction we're going, and then contradict that with their own actions, I have a problem with that. So I thought that should have been a penalty. I hope JuJu's okay. I know he's in concussion protocol. The biggest part of all this, and we all would agree, it's a consensus agreement across the board, his health is the biggest concern. Obviously, we love seeing him play football, but as long as his neurological system's working okay, that's the most important part. But when it comes to the infrastructure of what the NFL is preaching and what they want the league to look like, that went against everything they've been saying and they've been telling us for the last several years.
Well, the only pushback I have with that is this, and I agree with you 100% that they're the one that set this precedent, no doubt about it, right? They're the one that set the landscape as far as how they want it to be. But at what point? I mean, you can almost call it on every single hit in the NFL. I mean, you're just going to have a helmet hit. It's the way it works. Yeah. And it can't be reactive to saying, oh, man, now the guy looks like he's concussed or it looks like he's missing time. Like that flag has to be out here, right? Yeah. And I'm going to say, like, just JuJu and that one in itself. Like when I looked at, and slowing it down, and I know because I've seen enough hits, like the intent on a guy when he's, like he's bending down to hit a guy. It just seemed like he just kind of ran into JuJu. He didn't look like he tried to lower his head or anything like that. It just seemed like they just kind of caught and he actually tried to pull up a little bit, but it was just, like you said, incidental contact, helmet to helmet on the sense. And I think I know the intent, but the maliciousness of when you see things, right? When a guy hits, you could kind of tell that. Now, when you've seen how Cisco came and hit MBS, he had bad intentions all the way around when he hit it, when he hit him. Yeah. But, he caught him. It was a good hit. He caught him just flush, and it looked good. And that's what I think about. Like, Cisco was just kind of playing in within the fines of what they give you, right? The boundaries of what they give you. And look, the reality is this. I guarantee the defensive coordinator said, look, everybody that catches the football, anything moving, you have got to go hit them. You have to go hit them. And so, yeah, like Vegas, it is inconsistent, right? But, what do you do? And that's the thing about it. So they have, complete autonomy to do whatever they want to do, how they make the decision. And so that's why they talk about it. Same thing they could have called like the roughing the pass on Patrick, which they should have when the guy pushed him down.
Yep.
And so it's like, if you're going to do that, throw that flag out there. You make sure that that's the flag. We know that. Everybody else gets the same call. He's pushing him down. You have to make that consistent. And so I think when you leave it to human error, on some things where you can't necessarily slow it down and make that call based off of, rewinding the tape, that's what you're going to get. It's always going to be inconsistencies, on our side or their side. It's just going to be as part of the football game because human error comes in play here. And so nothing's ever going to be perfect, but I do agree with you, because it was incidental. If they had thrown that flag and they picked it up, I think they talked about it as like, did you see any type of malicious, intent in this? The guy was like, no, it just looked like they just kind of ran into each other. And so that's the decision they had to make. So I wasn't necessarily mad. I was mad because we lost JuJu for the game, right? I mean, it sucks that it happens. We lose a guy like that. But yeah, man, I mean, that's what you're going to get. Like you said, they set the landscape, Lance. That's what it is. So that's what we got to play within or see that the confines of what they've given us right now.
Right.
And that's the thing. I wish that like these conversations are had because there's a lot of penalties that are called during the games that are complete BS. Let's talk. Have the officials meet up and talk a little bit more throughout the game, so we can like make the right calls. Which I think in this case, in this penalty, they picked it up and they said it wasn't malicious intent. They picked it up. And rightfully so. But it's the inconsistency aspects that we talked about. So while you guys are talking, Vikings beat the Buffalo Bills in overtime, 33-30. Josh Allen threw a pick at the end of the game. I hope I didn't spoil. I hope I didn't spoil it for you guys.
That's his fourth red zone interception in the last two games.
MVP.
That's the fourth one. Wow.
Fourth red zone interception since last week.
Oof.
And by the way, his second L he got a hold in 2 weeks too.
Yep. Well, I mean, you saw he fouled the ball at that 1 yard line. I mean, some will say, he fouled the ball at the 1 yard line. He missed practice all week. That could be something, because you take your practice snaps. That's less reps he got this week, to do that in at the 1 yard line. But let me ask you guys. So we'll get to us being the one seed in the AFC in a second. But so another thing that happened to the game, Wiley went down. Right tackle went down, and Prince looked pretty damn good. JD, what was your takeaway from Prince coming in at right tackle? And I know in the offseason we talked about it, and you were a big fan of Prince. You said he had a chance to start. So
Yeah.
what's your take this?
Look, when he was up here in Philly, I thought we should get him out of Kansas City because out Kansas City. I said this guy right here he's got the feet, he's got the skill set. That's the thing about it. They always wanted like a little bit more power from him. That was the thing. There was always this thing about guys getting into his chest when the pass rushers are coming at him. But I think he looked solid. I think he did. He looked absolutely solid coming in for Wiley. And so it didn't even look like they missed a beat. They didn't even skip one. You couldn't really tell except the number being changed, right? Except I'm like, ooh, okay, there's Prince in there. So somebody tweeted out me and said they thought it was our guy, what's the name? Kennard. They thought it was Kennard out there because he got 70 on the Twitter handle. But I was like, nah, that's Prince doing the thing, right? Marcus is sitting there telling him we was talking about it. But no, he looked solid, man. He looked good out there. He did. But I've been a big believer in this guy. I have, as far as like his play. So he played down at Auburn. He's a great tackle. He really is. They put him on the right side instead of the left. So that might help him out just doing it that way too.
This should excite Chiefs fans and the Chiefs as a whole because of the fact that this now tells us that the worries we've been having about the offensive line may not be as bad as we thought they are. Because we know, JD, you know this better than Marcus and I, NFL season is very long, which means injuries are always going to happen. And those dudes in the trenches, they're always banged up. There's always injuries down there. That's why, side note, it was incredible that Will Shields, Willie Rofe, and all those guys played 60 straight games together without missing a game. It was unbelievable. But that's unexplainable how they did that. But as far as what Prince did, man, Prince turned into a king today. Let me just tell you like that. That dude's straight royalty. He got anointed. The whole thing happened. They had the whole ceremony and everything. It was incredible. He looked like a guy that should be starting at right tackle. And this is no knock on Andrew Wiley. We talked about this just a week ago. That Andrew Wiley, we all know, he's a backup. He's played guard. He's played tackle. He's been a fill-in guy. And the only reason Andrew Wiley's even been playing all season is because Lucas Niang's still been injured. We all know that Lucas Niang is the guy they want at right tackle. And you guys just had my guy, the dude I've been big on all offseason, Darian Kennard. I want to see him get right tackle snaps as well. I want to see him get his chance. I think those days are coming, probably in 2023. But, man, this depth is what I'm looking at. And that Jacksonville Jaguars front seven ain't no joke. And Orlando Brown Jr. stepped up today. All the dudes stepped up today, and Prince stepped right in and absolutely sired those dudes. I'm telling you, he was protecting. He was doing what he needed to do, gave Patrick Mahomes the protection. I thought the offensive line had an incredible game, and Prince was absolutely 100% a big contributor as to why that took place.
Yeah, and that's hard for a guy to come in and just have that consistency on the line because usually like the line calls and everybody trying to be on the same page. It looked like there was no lag in any of those things, right? Like he fell right in, and it just still looked like everything was just firing on all cylinders. It really did. Same thing with the running game. These guys was getting up on the guys and hitting them in the mouth. It was some really good offensive line play, and I think we were kind of talking about that. I think I've talked about that on the Dunn segment, just talking about offensive line. Sometimes they get a lot of flack because, of course, the last game when you throw it 68 times, it's going to, something's got to give. It's going to look bad. Some guys are going to be on skates. It's not going to always be in your favor. But when you have a game like this, which was more balanced, and how about we just talk about that even more? Like, for you to win championship football, like they was talking about, like when you start going deep in the playoffs during this time, when it starts getting cold, you have to be effective running the football. You have to be. And so I love just the play calling, at least this week, just seeing where they kind of just say, okay, we're going to run the football a little bit more. Pacheco came and got, 3, 4, 5, 6 yards. I think he was averaging 6.7, I think, on a carry, that's incredible. That's incredible. So if we can continue to do something like that, I really don't see teams beating us. I really don't. Seriously.
Yeah, you're talking about the Chiefs, a team that was averaging around 4.5 yards per carry going into this game for the season, averaging over 2 more yards per carry. Yeah, you're right, JD. If they're getting anything close to that, there is not a single team in this league that can beat them. No,
not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, with that, 35 pass attempts, 27 rush attempts today. So pretty balanced, pretty right on.
Beautiful.
That's 2,000 as Chiefs right there. Trent Green will get his 30-plus attempts. Priest Holmes will get his 25, 30 carries. That's a great recipe for a W, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we got one of the comments here, Chris Jones's play, this game. He's been a terror all season long. And I know beginning of the season, in the offseason, he tweeted what MVP, defensive MVP this year. Is he making a big case for it? I mean, Romo said that stat during the game, the win rate. I didn't realize he had the number one win rate for any defensive tackle this year, even ahead of Aaron Donald this year. I thought that was wild to hear that stat. What do you guys say, JD? Is he making a big case for it right now?
Oh, no doubt about it, man. He's playing exceptional football, and he's so hard, to get one-on-one. And he got that one sack. They moved him out the defensive end, right? And I love it. It was just that nice little switch up. It was talking about how great the right tackle had been playing all year. Then he comes from Chris Jones. Chris just beats him like a drum. I mean, just absolutely just destroys him on that play. So, man, he's just been playing phenomenal football, seriously. And I think with his play, everybody else is kind of rallying around what he's doing up front. I mean, he had to. It's like, man, we got to pull our weight. We seen Saunders come in today, man. He did a great job. He got a sack. And so these guys, man, was eating, man. But Chris, man, like I said, had been playing at a high level all year. You can see what he just has energy. Even when he runs off the field, he just looked like he's got a pep in his step running off the football field. Yeah. So I love it. I could see his disposition, how he's just carrying himself. Like he's on a whole different mission than everybody else out there defensively.
Yeah, so I'll just go out and say it. I think Chris Jones personally should be the headliner for Defensive Player of the Year right now because he's the only guy in the league that I've seen every single week have effective plays at least once or twice a game. Even Micah Parsons has had games where he's gotten shut down. And Micah Parsons is probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year barring any injury. I think Chris Jones has been the best defensive player in the league this year because of the fact that there's been so much inconsistency around him for the first half of the season. But I will defend one guy, and I'll say this real quick, and I'll get back to Chris Jones, to what JD just said. Colin Saunders should be a guy the Chiefs should seriously consider extending. I think this guy now, obviously, I know the late, great Therese Paylor always said that the contract year is undefeated. Man, that's gospel when it comes to guys like Colin Saunders because this dude's out here earning. Wherever he goes, he's going to get himself a nice, fat contract. And I hope it's here in Kansas City because this dude has been an awesome pick from Brett Veach. He's one of the most underrated picks that Brett Veach has ever made. I think this dude has been a stellar player this season. He's definitely taken a massive step up, and that's made guys like Chris Jones' job that much easier, especially when you sprinkle in veterans like Carlos Dunlap and rookies like George Karlaftis stepping up the way they did, especially today. But Chris Jones, the reason he's not going to win Defensive Player of the Year is simply because of the fact that he doesn't get the notoriety that guys like Aaron Donald and Micah Parsons get because, let's be honest, they play in bigger markets. They play on teams that more people pay attention to. Even with the Chiefs being as popular as they are, we all know that when it comes to the Chiefs, it's going to be about Patrick Mahomes. It's going to be about Travis Kelce. It's going to be about Andy Reid. It's going to be about those guys. It's not about – that's why Tyreek Hill got upset in Kansas City because he wasn't the superstar. That's why he wanted to go to Miami because he wanted to get the big bank and he wanted to be the name on the team. That's worked out for him so far. Chris Jones, as energetic and as influential as this guy is and as great as he is never going to be the man in Kansas City. But I'll say this. I remember a couple years ago, I talked to BJ Kissel, who used to be the sideline reporter for the Chiefs. And I remember I asked him a question about Tyrann Mathieu and when his contract was up. And BJ Kissel said the thing that the Chiefs always told him when it comes to re-signing or going and getting veteran free agents, at 28 years old is where they really evaluate whether that guy is going to be somebody they look to being an effective player for the next 3 to 4 years. And it has to be a unicorn player for them to re-sign that guy or go out and get that guy. That's why Travis Kelce got his money. That's why Patrick Mahomes is going to forever get his money. Those guys are unicorns. The question has to be asked, is Chris Jones that guy that can get that contract extension at 28 and older? My opinion, there's no question. This dude is as durable as they come, and he's as effective and as elite as they come. I think if I'm the Chiefs, I'm giving that man an extension today. And at worst, the Chiefs can get multiple first-round picks out of a trade that they could do maybe in this offseason. But my bet, I would love to see the Chiefs keep this guy for the next 3 to 4 years because I don't think he's the type of guy that's going to slump down really quick. I think this guy's going to have a career going into his 30s, and I think he's going to be pressing for the Hall of Fame. And I'm not saying that lightly because I know how hard it is to get in the Hall of Fame, but that's how great Chris Jones has been. That's how great he is right now, and I think that's going to continue.
No, that's a great point, man. When I start thinking about it, when you were saying this, when you look at all the defensive tackles over the years, that's such a hard position to find somebody who is that effective at the position. It really is. You could just go through over the course of time, the guys I know I played against. I'm just like, well, I could probably name all the guys right here that's played like that. Man, Chris Jones, man, he's on a whole different level this past year. Like you said, Aaron Donald's another guy that kind of jumps out there. but especially at that position, to be playing at that type of level, like you said, maybe not having all the guys and pieces around him like you would expect. I mean, he's doing it, right? I mean, at least, Aaron Donald had Von Miller out on the outside kind of doing things, not taking anything from Frank or any of those guys. But we knew as far as like what, the assignment was. It was like, okay, we got to stop Von too when you're dealing with guys. But Chris, man, is just he's a wrecking machine all by himself. He really is. And Colin Sanders, just kind of going back here saying his praises, absolutely. And we've been talking about this all year about finding that guy right beside Chris that needs to step up. Colin Sanders has been doing it all year. He lags. There's been a couple of games that kind of lags. But more to the point, I think he's been pretty consistent this past year as far as like showing up, being a guy. Like he's that guy beside Chris, without a doubt, like you said, that deserves an extension because, we know him and he's coming to his own. He's played into his own, man. He has, and he's been fine the past few games, no doubt about it. I've loved what he's been doing out there, man. I love seeing it.
And it's funny to think about the DTs who like played when you were playing JD versus like Chris Jones. I mean, how just the makeup of them are so different. Chris Jones versus like say Ted Washington comes to mind, or Chris Jenkins, or Big John Henderson. There's two totally different type of DTs, Yeah. Jones is kind of a unicorn in his own right? Like, I mean, he's so fat, quick twitch. I mean, just look at him. I mean, compare his body type to those guys you mentioned. It's totally different.
And he looks like he's getting better. He looks like he's getting better. Like he might be just now entering his prime, as crazy as that sounds to say. Because in 2017, the man had 15 and a half sacks at his position. So he might be hitting his prime now. And if I'm the Chiefs, like I said, I ain't letting that guy go anywhere. I'm signing his ass up.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me kind of body type, but just kind of thinking about it. We just got into the Hall of Fame, just kind of talking to him too, was Seymour, Richard Seymour. Yeah. I mean, seriously, like he's lean, but Chris has a little bit more faster twitch than Seymour does. He really does. And so he's without a doubt, man, the way that he looks, the way he's playing, he's going to be able to play for a long time and still be effective. No doubt about it.
Yeah. And this is something we talked about on our show over the last few weeks is the concern of the run game. So the last 3 weeks going into this game for Etienne, 14 carries, 104 yards, 24 carries, 156 yards, 28 carries, 109 yards. And today, 11 carries, 45 yards. So the defense, the run D stepped up. I mean, obviously they went to be doing a more pass mode, but holding him to under 50 yards rushing today, pretty good based on what we've been seeing over the last few weeks against the running backs we've played against. So that was good for the run D to kind of continue what we did at the end of that Tennessee game. Okay, so big thing everyone's talking about right now on our chat is the Bills-Vikings game, and we kind of alluded to that. So now Minnesota beats Buffalo. Buffalo now has 3 losses on the season. Dolphins, Jets, and Minnesota, we only have the 2 losses. Now we're the leapfrog them into the 1 spot in the AFC. How big of a deal is that for Minnesota giving us that little alley-oop today?
I mean, we're talking about like trying to get, home field advantage. We know what that means in itself. Like, being consistent, understanding exactly what you have to deal with going through. I mean, that's paramount right there, man. But the Vikings are a good team. The Vikings are a really good team. You can never count them guys out. I don't necessarily the quarterback. He's always iffy with me, but he got receivers around him. We know that. Good running back. But you knew it was going to be a pretty tight game. We knew that. But it's big. It's huge. But it's just telling me, what you can do, and I know it's kind of tough. I mean, especially when you're playing, you just got to play. You don't have to don't worry about anything else and try to like, oh man, like just play. Just worry about the very next game and just keep moving on like that. As long as you're doing that, you're gonna be fine, But just don't keep looking at, always looking at the board. Where we at? It's just I've never done that as a player. I don't really know a lot of guys that do that. As far as like you just kind of taking care of business every single week. So you can't worry about the Bills, what they're doing, everybody else is doing like that. All you got to do is just do your job and just win. That's all. You take care of your business, man. Hey, let the chips fall where they may. And so at the end of it, you're just hoping, okay, we're in a position right now that once we have playoffs, hopefully it's in our, at our place, and we'll take care of business there. So that's really the only thing. But like right now, it's just like, hey, don't worry about that. Just keep our eyes on, focus on what we need to be doing.
This is why I love that I get to do this with JD, because He gets to tell you about the stuff that actually matters. Being a player and getting to focus on what actually matters, which is one day at a time. I know we hate the cliches. We always got to take it one day at a time. But it's the truth. That's why they keep saying it, because it is the truth. These guys compartmentalize each and every week, and they don't overlook teammates or teams very often in the league as a whole, as a nucleus. But I'm a fan. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys a little bit about my side of things, because I know JD just told the stuff that actually matters. I'm going to talk about the stuff that doesn't matter, but it's fun because we love to do that as fans. So I picked the Vikings to win this game. I said that I didn't think Josh Allen was originally going to play. I still don't think he should have played because he did not look good today at all. I think that arm was messing with him. I thought when he threw that interception in the back of the end zone, the first one, he got hurt again, and it looked like he was hurt. He hurt his arm again. The Bills are really playing some Russian roulette with this one, man. That is their franchise. That is their future, and they squandered another game that they could have won. They could have won last week against the Jets. Josh Allen was terrible. Could have won this game against the Vikings, and the Vikings choked multiple times in this game, and they still lost. So this is a game. I know it doesn't matter. You're right, JD. When it comes to the Chiefs, they just got to take care of their business. But this was their one opportunity, the Bills' one opportunity, and I say this confidently, to actually get the 1 seed. I know we got a lot of games left to play, but because of the fact that the Chiefs are 100% what JD just said, a team that focuses and fixated on what they can control, is the reason why the Bills are not going to get the 1 seed back, because they went from the 1 seed to 3rd place in their division today. That's how bad this was for them. The Jets own the tiebreaker and are on a bye week, if I'm not mistaken, and they're 6-3 just along with the Jets or the Bills. So that knocks them down, and the Dolphins are now in sole possession because they won today, so they're 7-3. So the Bills have a lot of ground to track, and so they need to quit worrying about the 1 seed. Now they got to worry about how they're going to win their division, because they have 2 teams that not only have beaten them, but have proven to be playoff-worthy teams so far this season. So the Bills are in trouble. And I'm not saying that lightly, and I'm not trying to walk on their grave, because they're still a really good team and could probably bounce back out of it. But the Chiefs now have sole possession of the 1 seed, and I don't think they're going to relinquish it, because they have the best player in the world leading the way, who's going to be the MVP this season, and Andy Reid, who's the best head coach in football, who just tied Marty Schottenheimer for the most wins at Arrowhead. Guys, I'm telling you right now, the Chiefs are clicking because their defense looks elite right now. They've played incredible football over the last 6 quarters. Incredible football. And their schedule is about as light as it gets for the remainder of the season. The Chiefs would have to really choke it away in order for them to not have the 1 seed by the end of this season.
Yeah, we had the hardest part of the schedule, man. We took it right there on the chin. We didn't wince at all. We really didn't. And to be honest with you, we probably could have had a better record. A couple of plays here and there. Shoot, seriously. I mean, we absolutely, like I said, looked great at the very first part of the season. And like I said, you just, like Lance said, there's a lot of ball to be played between now and end of the season. But like I said, you just take care of your business. That's it. Don't worry about it. Don't look at the papers or on Twitter who's sitting over here in the seat and stuff. It's like a little bit of a peak, and it's like, all right, cool. All right, let's we worry about us. That's all that matters. Everything that's happening over here is what we can control. That's it. Period.
Yeah. And it looks like, hey, we keep winning and the Dolphins keep winning. We could get a little we could get a Tyreek Hill versus Mahomes battle, the Tua versus Mahomes. We got to see who's the more accurate, who's the better quarterback in the playoff game. I mean, kind of the commercials and the stuff leading up to that game is going to be unreal.
Well, think about how insane this would be for the storylines with Andy Reid in particular. You get it, let's say an AFC championship, and I know we're way ahead of ourselves here, but let's just say for, because we're talking, imagine an AFC championship where Tyreek comes back to Arrowhead to face his old team, and the Chiefs win that game, and then Andy Reid gets to play his old team in a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles. Imagine the revenge factor for Andy Reid and all that. A team that fired him goes on to have an even better career with the Chiefs. I mean, you want to talk about storylines. This is why the NFL is so great, man, because we get storylines like this almost every single year.
Well, I'll tell you what.
You're weaving it together. You put it all together, ain't you? Just weaving it up. I love it.
Yeah, the conspiracy theorists out there are going to say it's going to happen. The NFL wants that to happen, and that's going to happen.
Yeah, here it is. Yeah, they see that. Oh.
I forgot my tinfoil hat. I'm sorry, guys, but I still want to throw it out there.
No, that's good.
So looking at the comments here, so the one, so McDuffie was lights out. This is one thing that I noticed during the game. It just seems he missed a good part of the season. And he just comes back and it just automatically, it's like, okay, that one side of the field is just pretty much locked down. And it's like we have a veteran out there, and he's not a veteran at all. He's a rookie and who's barely played this season. How good is McDuffie's? I mean, what's standing out from McDuffie's play to you guys so far in this short amount of time he's played with us?
I mean, for me, I mean, he's technically sound. You know, that's the type of corner he is. You could tell there's not a lot of wasted motion in anything that he does. And you like one of the one that he knocked the ball away from, I think it might have been Zay Jones or Marvin, I don't know which one, where he grabs his arm, you know, right close to his chest and knocks the ball down. Like that was a veteran move. Like the way he was able to kind of shield his body, kind of feel the guy and he putting his body on the receiver. That's what you want to be able to see. And I think when you see a guy like this, and maybe like with the Joshua Williams thing, right? Let's go back to the Bills, where that's when you got to almost shield a guy off of that. You got to slow him down with your body. That's how it is. And he gets like that and gets his head around. It was perfect. I mean, that's when I'm saying technique-wise, that is as bad and as textbook you can get playing corner. I think he still needs to get his legs up underneath him because, to be honest with you, he was beat. They had him beat. You know, if it's a different ball, I mean, it's caught. But I think he'll get there. About 2 more games, his legs are going to be where they need to be at. So I think he's still kind of catching up the speed of the game and all the receivers. You know what I mean? To me, that's how I look. But as far as technique sound, when your technique sound, when somebody's beating you by speed, that technique wins out. And so that's what he did. He played everything, man. He used everything, all the tricks in his bag. He used it today, and it looked good. Looked good.
Yeah, there's a few positions in the league that if I was good enough to play in the NFL, there's a few positions I would hate to be a first-round pick at. It'd be quarterback, tackle, edge rush, and corner. And particularly the corner position, because we're talking about McDuffie, you are expected as a first-round pick, especially if for a guy that got traded up for in the first round by a team that is in Super Bowl contention each and every year. There is so much pressure on you to perform day one. And to your point, Marcus, about the fact that he's missed, I think he missed 6 games this year. There was so much unknown going into the halfway point of the season with Trent McDuffie. We hadn't seen much. But going into today's game, he had not given up a completion on his side of the field. And I know people are focused so much on interceptions because the last first-round pick that the Chiefs took at cornerback was Marcus Peters, who's an absolute ball hawk. The guy just loves baiting quarterbacks into throws that he ends up taking away. That's his greatness. That was what Marcus Peters was awesome at. McDuffie's not that kind of guy. Right. As JD just said, he's fundamentally sound. You know why that is? He can't rely on the same things that Marcus Peters does. Marcus Peters is over 6 foot tall. He can go out there and play that style of football and get away with it because he has wide receiver type of body. Trent McDuffie's an undersized cornerback. He's about 5'9", 5'10". So he has to be fundamentally sound, like guys like Darrelle Revis, a guy who was around 5'9". But he was a lockdown corner. That's why his interception numbers weren't high, because no one was throwing to him. And that's what happened again today. McDuffie was not getting touched a lot today. He did get beat. I did see that one throw. He did get beat. But what he does to make up for that, he gains ground. Like one of the comments I saw just said, he turns around. He gets his head around. He sees where the ball's going. He gets a feel for where the guy is that he's on. And I'm telling you right now, he's done such a good job at that in just 3 games in his career that I really think that Elmer's Glue should endorse the guy because he's sticking on everybody, man. Ain't nobody getting away from this dude. He breaks away, he finds a way to get glued back to you. Elmer's Glue, hit this guy up because I know he's looking for endorsements. I know he got that first-round money, but he could always make a little bit more, and I think he's going to continue to prove it as the season goes on.
Yeah, I tell you what, and I think also too, like that the walling off of guys and receivers, like that, man, just that feel, having that instinct, just know where a guy is and have him on your hip. That's huge. That's amazing. Like you said, he knows he has to play that way. He knows it because, like you said, he's 5'9", 5'10". I don't know what they're giving him. Have they given him 5'10"? I think they gave him 5'10", didn't they?
With cleats.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, he's standing on the phone book. But you know, the guy, man, he's a technically sound guy, no doubt about it. He knows that's how he has to play. But I love it. I love it. He's not like I talked about Joshua Williams being late with his head, like he didn't know the turn and stuff. Trent McDuffie, feel, touch, ball, looks right, and so you don't have to worry about him like, oh man, his head being late and stuff like that. Now he's like this. Everything is just clicked in motion all together. Now he looks good. He looked good out there. He did. He looked really good out there. True. So the whole secondary looked good. To be honest with you, they all look good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the young guys really stepped up this year, and like the way we know what we were talking about going to get a veteran cornerback, it's like we really don't. We obviously knew that we weren't that we had the guys in the house. That's why we never pursued one. And these guys really stepped up this year. And as the season has gone too, we know we're gonna have growing pains, but by the time we get to this January, these guys are pretty mature. They're gonna be ready to go in playoff ball. So we kind of mentioned a little bit about Kadarius Toney at the beginning of the show. We're getting more people talking about Toney in our comments here, but for me, not really knowing much about Kadarius Toney outside of seeing his college highlights and seeing the few games that he tore it up with the Giants, I thought he was a kind of just a gadget guy, right? Like a guy who kind of could do it all. But that ball he caught where he high pointed it, I mean, while adjusting his gloves and then midair going to catch it. And I also love his touchdown celebration. I don't know if he was paying homage to having a hamstring injury by hopping into the end zone on one leg and then pretending he hurt his hamstring. I thought that was fantastic that he did that because, maybe he's paying homage to his Giants days where, some were saying that he faked the hamstring injury to get out of there, but I don't know. What do you guys make of Kadarius Toney? And is he what you expected or is he more than what you expected so far?
I tell you what, that play going up to catch the ball, high pointing like that was a phenomenal play. It really was. That showed me that he's so much more than what I expected, to be honest with you. Seriously, because he went between two guys to go get that ball. Also stepping on the sideline, just kind of, tight roping. He's got that speed. Look, you've seen him in college, and you've seen some of the things that he has about him, but he showed without a doubt how much of a weapon he really is. And Vegas Chiefs fans, like, getting Toney was a great – that was probably the best move we made in a long time, get a guy like that. Seriously. I mean, he's a phenomenal player, man. Phenomenal player. And at the right time, too. When you have something like his JuJu goes down, then you had to be like, oh, well, who we have? Now we got to push for somebody else. And I said this wasn't necessarily a knock on Skyy Moore's development. I just think there was a guy that was coming here who was already a little bit more refined, right? Who's already been in the league. He's already seen, some of these defenses, some of these guys, and he already knew how to compete. And so I like it. He's excited. You can just tell he's excited playing in this offense. This is an offense geared for a guy with his skill set, without a doubt. No doubt about it, man. So, he's having fun. We giving him on jet sweeps around the corner. I mean, this is what he's made for. Seriously.
I want to hear what Lance has to say here. Lance wasn't as excited as a lot of people were about this when we first did it. He was still calling for OBJ. I don't know if he's changed his tune after what he saw today. Lance, I'm going to give you the floor.
I heard the news when I was just getting back in town in Kansas City a few weeks ago when the Chiefs traded for Kadarius Toney. They didn't give up a bunch, but I wasn't expecting a bunch. I'm somebody that what have you done for me lately? I know the college tape looked good. Dude's got talent, all that fun stuff. But you have Brian Daboll up there that's an offensive genius, and he didn't want him, and he was willing to get rid of him for a couple conditional picks. That worried me. That worried me very much. And furthermore, it worried me that was he going to be a guy that was going to want to come in here and play a role as opposed to try to be the guy. That was something I was worried about. I felt those were legitimate concerns based upon what we had seen and heard coming out of New York and his injury concerns. There was legitimate concern about that as well. I didn't think he was going to be special. But I'm here to tell you guys right now, and I'm not telling you anything you haven't seen for yourselves, Kadarius Toney is special.
Let's go.
I'm not saying this dude. Listen, there is no replacing Tyreek Hill. Let's clarify that right now. There is one Tyreek Hill. You're not ever replacing that dude. He is one of one. But Kadarius Toney is as close as the Chiefs could get at replacing Tyreek Hill because of his twitchiness, because of his playmaking ability. You saw it on full display today. High pointing the ball, creating with his feet on the side, on the end of the sideline over there. The way this guy has such composure and wherewithal with his body and playing the game at a fundamental level the way he does, it's something that the Chiefs absolutely needed. I'm telling you guys right now, the Chiefs already won that trade. That trade is already won.
Oh,
what he's done to this point already. He's not put up magnificent stats by any means, but he's adding a dimension the Chiefs have not had since losing Tyreek Hill. Has the offense been awesome since Tyreek Hill left? Yes. They're still the best offense in football. But Toney adds that next level playmaking ability the Chiefs just simply don't have because they lost an all-time great in Tyreek Hill. So there's no replacing Tyreek. But guys, you don't have to replace Tyreek when you have a Kadarius Toney. You can have a one-on-one of somebody else. You don't have to go and get a replica to still go and get a guy that can be effective at a high level. Guys, the Chiefs have won this trade. I was somebody that was very, very I guess you would say, skeptical about that trade. I am no longer skeptical, guys. Now I'm expecting Kadarius Toney to be a legitimate contributor to this offense moving forward. I had no expectations. Now I got a ton, and his ability to do what he does gave me the reason to do that. I'm on Team Toney. I'm calling him Toney touchdown, and he 100% trolled the Giants on that little that little jump thing he was doing. He knew what he was doing, and I thought it was amazing. I'm here for it, man, because he's a Chief, and he's going to help this team win another Super Bowl.
So are you out on OBJ?
No, I'm not, because I still think that the Chiefs – here's the thing. I know I'm giving praise to Toney here, but here's the thing that OBJ is still going to bring to this team if the Chiefs – and according to everything we're hearing, the Chiefs are still in the mix. Will they get him? Probably not. He'll probably go to another thing. But here's some factors about OBJ that the Chiefs fit the criteria for. One, he could play a legitimate role in this team still because there's the JuJu factor right now. We don't know if he'll be out for any length of time, but even if he does, his style fits this offense perfectly. He's a veteran receiver that has playoff experience, Super Bowl experience that can add to this offense. And again, as I talked to JD earlier about the offensive line and the trenches, guys get injured. Injuries happen all the time, and I still stand on what I said about the difference of having OBJ getting snaps or Justin Watson. We like Justin Watson, but let's be real. We'd rather have OBJ getting those snaps than Justin Watson. That just adds to your depth. Second of all, OBJ's mentality has changed. We all know this dude was a playboy, man. He lived in New York. He's played in LA. This dude's a handsome guy. He likes to go out and do his thing. He hangs out with celebrities. He's 30 years old now. He's got a family. And his agent has mentioned multiple times that he wants to plant his roots somewhere. Well, the Chiefs have been creating cap space, and they're going to have anywhere from 80 to 100 plus million in cap space next year. If he wants a multi-year deal, Chiefs can give him an MVS type of deal, get him a 2-year deal with a 3rd-year option, 12, 13 million a year, and the Chiefs can absolutely afford that. I'm not saying it's going to happen. What I'm saying is it still makes sense for both sides for it to happen because both sides give that other side something they both want. A better chance of winning a Super Bowl and a guy adding to his resume to get in the Hall of Fame, get his plans, his roots planted in a city and a town where he can win games and settle down in a city and it's a place that would and absolutely embrace him because of who he is and what he's all about. I know he gets a bad rep for who he was in New York. That dude is loved by every teammate he has ever had. I have not heard one bad thing from him, from a former teammate about OBJ. People love that dude, and I know he would be loved here in Kansas City. So there's my little pitch. Maybe we can clip this and send it to OBJ and we'll see what it'll do.
Well, I'll tell you this, man. I just Toney coming out today and showing what he showed, I think really put the OBJ debate to bed for me, really. I mean, seriously. And I wasn't really high on OBJ. I mean, yeah, we could have used him, but we knew we wouldn't have him until December, mid-December, at least coming out here to play the games. So you got this young, electric guy in Toney. He's a first-round pick. I mean, he's a first-round pick for a reason, right? And so I just think right now the integrity of the guys that you have, and we might not be able to see Toney unless Hardman was hurt. We might not even see everything, today as far as like what Toney was able to show without Hardman being out. So now you're talking about MVS, you got JuJu, you got Hardman, you got Toney, you got Skyy Moore. So you got guys. We got the Travis Kelce, Noah Gray stepped up. We got receivers, we got tight ends, we got running backs, we got guys that catch a football. We got the best arm in the business in Patrick Mahomes. So I just think sometimes, because there's only one ball that could go around, right? And Paul, and he's peppering at different places. He really is. Now, I'm sure OBJ would love to come here, right? I mean, he's got Kelce and all these guys. He got superstars already on the team. And OBJ's still a playboy. He's still a pretty boy. No doubt about it. He's a wide receiver. Ain't nothing going to change about that. You know what I mean? It's just not. So, hey, look, if it works, for the right price, maybe that's the only way. But to me, as far as you find the right fit, you get the guy in. I think to be honest with it, Toney fits that mold, right? He's a young guy. He's one of those that you like, who's ready to play with Patrick Mahomes, who's ready to do well on a team like this. And I think a lot of it was just being disgruntled up there in New York. I think that's what it was, because you got Galladay up there. None of them guys, they're grumbling around for the past few years. They ain't been good. How long? I mean, forever. And so I think he was in a bad situation. He just really wanted to get out of there. I know that what he was given, it just couldn't change the taste in your mouth. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you might have, just bad food for a long time. It's like, hey, you know what? Hey, I'm gonna give you this new meal. He's like, you know what? None of it tastes good. I'm sorry. I appreciate it, but we got to go. We got to go change and check a new restaurant out. I'm sorry, right? I'm sorry. So that's the way I look at it. Maybe because he just wanted to get out of that situation, which I understand. I completely understand. They're winning now, right, with the things that they're doing, but still the wide receivers is still something to be desired, somewhat of it. I mean, Daniel Jones is kind of up and up. Shoot, if I have a chance to go play with, Daniel Jones and Patrick Mahomes, I'll be wanting to get up out of that joker too. Believe me. So I just think, man, OBJ, is he a luxury to have? Yeah, no doubt about it. But man, Toney, what he showed today solidified it for me. Like, this guy right here is electric. He could do all those things. He's a young guy who's excited to be here. Not saying OBJ won't be, but I think when you have that young talent like that kind of rely on each other, I think it makes just for a better mix, better chemistry as far as the team wise.
And he only knows like that much of the playbook. I mean, only a couple of weeks, and he's doing this and only knowing that much of the playbook. I mean, I think sky's the limit for him, really, in this offense.
Yeah.
Okay. One last topic here before we go. We touched on it last week, as maybe some quirks coming out of the bye week, and also coming off the injury. Harrison Butker missed the extra point today, and we kind of talked about this last week. How the fact that we're offensive scores touchdowns, so the extra points. That's what you need to do, really. I mean, if you're going to make kicks, that's extra. But the least you could do is make extra points in an offense that scores touchdowns. Butker missed an extra point last week, and he also missed like a 40-yarder, and then he missed an extra point this week. I got crap on it last week for calling out, for saying, maybe we go and see if there's another kicker out there in the offseason. But no deal or big deal of Harrison Butker's recent kicking woes.
Go ahead, Lance.
Okay, well, I'll put my neck out on the line here. I think it's a bigger deal than what we want to give it credit, and here's the biggest reason why. I want to believe that it's due to his injury. I would love to say, well, he's banged up still. He's talked about it to the media. His ankle's still hurting, and I can sit here and live with that, and I can be at peace with that. Problem is, guys, this has been a problem for him for years. This has been something he's dealt with for a long time. And again, I'll repaint the take I had last week when we talked about this. It's so weird how a guy can go out there and it's game on the line, 58 yards, 8 degrees outside. The ball's harder than a rock, and he sinks it with precision. Then it's, 68 degrees outside, and it's a 25-yard chip shot, and it's wide right. It's like, I don't understand. I know it's a mental game. I know that kickers, it's a different game for them than tight ends like JD and quarterbacks and things of that. I know that it's different. You're relying on your foot. You're not relying on your hands and your hips and things of that nature as much. It is a concern because of the fact that it's still happening at this point. And it is in games that we got to talk about this when games are closer than it's comfortable. Chiefs are trailing. They're up 3. They need this get-right chip shot. And do we really have the confidence that Harrison can drop those at any given time? I don't feel that confidence right now. And the biggest reason why I'm okay with this conversation being had is because of the context of how Harrison Butker came here to Kansas City to begin with. He wasn't some well-known guy. He was a practice squad kicker for the Panthers. And Brett Veach, to his credit, went and found this little diamond in the rough. And now this guy's been over here, been one of the most accurate kickers in football history. But that doesn't take away from the fact that at this current juncture, in this current time, he is still missing the easy kicks. And that is something, if he's missing 60-yarders, I can live with that because you're not supposed to make 60-yarders. It's a bonus when you do. What you are supposed to make are the 25-yard kicks to add to the touchdown. Quite frankly, man, I don't want to speak to this because JD was on the sidelines in the NFL for a long time, but I would imagine when you have a big touchdown on the offense and you see the dude miss the PAT, you're like, damn, man, like what the hell? It's like eating a really good steak, but it isn't seasoned well. Like it's cooked good, but it doesn't have like that butter and it has like the stuff on it. It doesn't taste as good as it should. And that's the problem is I think that it's killing some of the momentum the Chiefs are trying to add to their offense. And I think that there's a legitimate concern. Could Butker get it right? Sure. But to this point of his Chiefs tenure, this has been like an Achilles heel to his kicking game. And I really hope it doesn't hurt the Chiefs at the end of the season.
Yeah, you know what? It's a hair scratcher to me. I mean, it really is. I mean, when I'm sitting there, I'm just like you said. You're like, daggone, like what's going on? And I know guys are like when they say he misses it, everybody's just kind of looking like what? Like Buckner missed it? Like it just even registered to you. He's missing like you said, the chip shots, the ones he should be making, right? So I think it's just kind of a thing he's working through. But it is concerning. It is concerning just to see it. because if you think about it, over the games that we've lost, right? We could have easily met, maybe Indianapolis, they got into one, and then, against, the Bills too. Like, there's the games that we did lose. We catch a couple of those kicks, it's a whole different game. It's a whole different conversation as far as things, right? But we don't know what would happen the rest of the game. But I just know he would have added on to possibly, being something that we could have won that game doing those kicks. But look, like you said, kickers, they're different guys. I'm looking for him to either work through this thing. If you're saying his ankle is sore, okay, and he's still having a problem with the planning, planning and kicking. All right, cool. I get that. All right. With a guy like this, when he's struggling as a kicker, I know guys got confidence in he's going to make the hard one, right? They got confidence in that. And so when you do the easy one, it is, man, it's just head scratcher. So we just had to, I don't know, give him some time. I don't know. This one right here really perplexes me. It does, as far as like dealing with him, what he's going through. But like Lance said, when we got him, like I looked over the history of how we got him, I'm just like, but it looked like he kind of came into his own, and maybe he's still there. And so maybe it is. Maybe it's just the little things and these little nicks and stuff that keeps messing with his transition. And like I said, I know as far as being a special teams coach, kind of that transition, how much guys got to be comfortable. They really do, especially planting and kicking and coming on through. But I don't think like those ones he's missing, that's not his plant foot. That's just a lack of focus. That's all it is. He's pulling it for no reason whatsoever. And you see him looking at it like, like I missed that one. You know what I mean? He's like shocked that you missed it. Yeah. So, he's not like sitting over there like, my ankle's back. No, I don't see that. I think he's just kind of like, all right, I need to get this thing fixed. So
it always seems to be on the left hash too for some damn reason.
I know it. So I don't know if you're trying to overcorrect or whatever, man, but like you said, those kickers, hey, let them go to where they go. Let them get into their little zen. Let them go get a couple massages. Let them go talk to, a couple of guys, whatever they need to do. We'll leave it at that. Okay. But, I'm not going to start calling him no Shanks McGee and nothing like that just yet. We're not going to do that.
Shanks McGee.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. I'm going to leave him alone.
I kind of want to call him that now because that's a good name.
Yeah, man. I don't want to. Yeah. But hey, Buck's still good with me. I'm good with it. I'm good with it. Buck, you good. It's good.
Thanks, McGee. That's good.
That definitely stems from somewhere. Did you call somebody Shanks McGee back in the day, JD?
Oh, back in the day, yeah.
Call
Shanks McGee. That's what you call it. Shanks McGee. Every time you see him on this off the side of somebody's foot, Shanks McGee, here he is. Shows up today. Here he goes, showing up. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for everybody. Thanks for watching the Chief Concerns post-game show presented by Bet Online. We'll see you guys for the Chief Concerns guys. We'll see you guys Thursday when the new episode drops. And for Lance and on the spoken, you guys will see him next Saturday. I'm sure everyone's got a good show cooking for us this week. Lance, you got something good for us?
Yeah, man. We actually have Mark Gunnels from FS1 out there in LA. He's coming on the show this week. It's been a long time coming. My brother Mark Gunnels. He's actually the guy they got OBJ to reply this last week and said it ain't out of the conversation that the Chiefs can get him out there. So that's why I'm holding hope. Trust me, I'm gonna get Mark to talk a lot about that and expand on that. He's in LA right now, so proud of that guy. Can't wait to talk to him, man. We're gonna talk a lot of Chiefs, man. So be ready, guys. Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Time. Be ready.
Can't wait.
Hey, man, listen, I just want to tell everybody, man. Look, be excited for your Chiefs, man. Your boys are looking good. They looking good out there, man.
Right.
All right. So,
damn right.
Yeah, absolutely. So keep supporting these guys for what they've been doing, man. They are looking phenomenal, okay? Stay with these guys all the way through.
Yeah, 100%
more.
Yeah. For anybody who's doubting this team being number one in the AFC right now, you can't reason with that. You can't reason with crazy.
Look, but I told you, I said, sometimes on Twitter, it don't matter what you say. You can say something good. Somebody's always going to oppose you for whatever reason. I made this point to Marcus. I said, you could say babies are cute. Somebody would be like, yeah, but they cry all the time, so they're ugly. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like somebody just for no reason. Like what? Like what? Like, but don't pay attention to the noise, man. All of that. If you hating on the Chiefs for whatever reason, then you're just having a hard time with yourself. All right. So I hope everything gets better for you. All right.
Yeah, no joke. That's a you problem. That's a you.
That's
problem.
right. That's right.
Exactly. All right, fellas. Well, we'll see you guys next Sunday. It's gonna be a Chiefs Concerns post-game show after dark. Because we got our game got flexed to Sunday night at LA. So we'll see you guys next Sunday night. So around midnight next Sunday, we'll do it again, guys. All right, take it easy. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get podcasts.